Hello and welcome to Kerbal Space Program. This is Space Warfare, and in this series we are going to be fighting rival space agencies for control of, space. So let's get right to it. In the last episode we landed on the moon and returned back to Kerbin, and in this episode we are going to be leaving Kerbin's sphere of influence, but only briefly. But first let's go to the R&D centre and see what we can research. Alright, so here in the R&D Centre, since the last mission, we have researched advanced construction, specialised construction, and advanced flight control, which should all help us make more ships and weapon systems. But now let's go to the Helios 1. Now, this is the Helios 1, and we are going to be using it to leave Kerbin's sphere of influence, in which we will be in orbit around the Sun, where we can do a bunch more experiments, materials bay and the rest, which we can then use to make better weapon systems and, more importantly, a shipyard. So we've just left Kerbin's sphere of influence, and now let's do the science. Oh, great! I think we're getting more science than we did than when we landed on the moon. Let's just... Oh wow, there's lots of science from this. So now with nearly the entire mission completed, let's just cut to a cinematic return, shall we? $652 science in total. That is amazing. Let's go to the R&D Centre and let's see what we can get with this science. So, with the science, we managed to unlock heavy rocketry, advanced metalworks, and space exploration, which are going to be very useful in designing our shipyard, which we have just begun to launch. So, we're launching it in nearly one piece, despite it being rather large. It is actually quite bare, like it only has a few solar panels and some RCS tanks with no RCS thrusters, because we are going, well, for starters, we want to dock all of our liquid fuel separately, along with a bit of extra RCS fuel, because it'd be really heavy and quite difficult to take up if we do it all in one go. We also have 4 docking ports for small ships, particularly the Ares 2, which I think I am still in development at the minute. But we will be able to also contain quite a large armament of torpedoes with this shipyard, and it's going to be very important in holding like an orbit around Kerbin, and ensuring that we have some form of control over space travel. So, here we are, just done a couple of inclination changes and gotten rid of that fuel booster, and there we go. That's great. That's the thumbnail right there. So great. So next we will be either launching extra torpedoes for armament or extra fuel reserves. So after a short discussion, they have decided to send up extra torpedoes to give the station some defence as well. It's in orbit before we send up the Ares 2s. Because adding extra fuel would just make it a bigger target, and we won't have any defences should it be attacked. So let's just skip ahead where we get ready to perform our manoeuvre. Right here, just circularising our orbit. After this, we will be extending our orbit so that we'll get an intersect with the station, because I didn't really wait for a launch window, and I've packed this thing with plenty of fuel to do the burn and then slow down once I'm next to the station. And speaking of which, we're now right next to the station, just skipping that whole intersect burn and everything because there's not really much to show. Okay, you can probably notice that we've got a little power section just above our docking port, so we're going to have to eject that before we dock. Well, obviously before we dock with the station. But I just wanted to add a little section to help generate and retain power for the module before I dock, because I don't want to add everything I need for a functional ship on each module, or it's going to get a bit excessive for parts and everything. So as we're just lining up here, you can see I'm trying to get the lengthways section of the module lined up with the sort of docking port arms of the station. I don't know why I'm making hand gestures, you can't see me. But oh, there we go, we've just docked. You can see it's a little bit off, but I should be able to correct that easily. But I guess that's it for this episode. We've done quite a lot this time, and in the next episode we're going to be sending up our Ares 2 fighters to help maintain a much stronger space foothold and have control of, well, what goes up and comes down. But that will be in the next episode. I'm 80,000 Army. Thanks for watching.